I ate 24 now 34.
You see, you can drink, no problem.
Top stories here on RT. We travel to Syria to witness reconstruction efforts as the country rebuilds vital facilities destroyed during 7 years of war. The scandal over Donald Trump's alleged use of a racial slur deepens, though polls show that support for the U.S. president among black Americans is actually on the rise. A Palestinian journalist is arrested by Israeli soldiers for filming them and allegedly inciting violence. Ahead of Friday's Gaza protest, we speak to a hip-hop artist who shot to fame with a video filmed during a previous border demonstration. And Hillary Clinton expresses her support for a young girl who knelt in class during the national anthem in protest against social injustice. And we discuss the whole kneeling controversy with our guests.
The little girl needs to spend more time in a constructive manner trying to get what she wants.
It's not to say it's wrong for them to basically stand up for what they believe in. And that's what this little girl was doing. That's all.
All right, just after 1 p.m. on Friday here in Moscow. Thanks for joining us on RT International. Your top stories starting right now. We do start with Syria, where people are day by day getting their lives back in order after years of war against militants and jihadists. Huge amounts of key infrastructure totally destroyed, including important factories and hospitals. But we understand the rebuilding is getting underway. So we visit some of those sites to see how the job is going.
If Damascus is serious about accepting millions of its refugees back home, it has some serious rebuilding to do. Boroughs, villages and small towns like the one over there in the province of Homs have been completely razed from the face of the earth by the war. That's why factories like this one are crucial. Most Syrian cities have to survive amid a chaotic and unstable power supply. We've been told that when anti-Assad fighters captured this facility, they looted it clean for equipment and left it badly damaged. It's fully operational now. But lack of power, of course, isn't the worst that Syrians have had to endure.
I swear, we were dying of hunger.
1 kilo of bread for 1,000 lira. You have to eat, otherwise you starve to death.
We ate only rice and bulgur, nothing else.
We were living in hunger and poverty. We would wake up in the morning not knowing how to manage to get our daily food. Children suffered malnutrition. A 10-year-old girl looked like a 2-year-old.
Throughout the war, some parts of Syria have seen, well, horrific famine. But it would have been much, much worse if it wasn't for the incredibly fertile soil. And that's why here, some branches of the trees are actually broken under the weight of peaches. Advanced agriculture and international aid is helping to put food back on people's plates. So now, with the fighting contained to small pockets, Syrians can treat themselves to something nice. This ice cream plant has even had a go at its own interpretation of the Oreo recipe. Yet all of this is great on paper, but doesn't help much if delivery trucks have no roads to drive on. There's just over 40 kilometers between the cities of Homs and Hama. A trip that should have taken somewhat 30 minutes would stretch up to 6 hours. See, with this bridge destroyed, commuters had to gamble with their lives, taking long detours through jihadis' territories. This newly paved highway has brought the drive back to well under an hour. This market in Homs is more than 2,000 years old. It has seen many things, and this civil war is not the worst of those it has survived through. And it is hoped that the rest of the country will follow its model. Amir Zhdanov reporting from Syria for RT.
So amid the mass reconstruction efforts, there is also room for some artistic work. These artists once lived in a refugee camp near Damascus, but had to flee when it came under attack. With the area now back under government control, they've returned to depict the aftermath of the fighting. They say they want to leave a record for future generations of what happened at the camp and ultimately what they went through. The scandal over Donald Trump's alleged use of a racial slur has seen a hail of accusations of racism slung at the U.S. president. A former aide claims she has a recording of the U.S. president saying a racial slur, though this recording has yet to emerge. But that does not stop the media from rounding on Trump for alleged racism.
At the end of the day, we don't need a tape to know that Donald Trump is racist. I was at the Unite the Right rally in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. I didn't hear anybody say the N-word, but I'm pretty sure those guys were still racist.
We were curious about what you could possibly say that might dispel some of the animosity the black community has toward her after all of these years of her being complicit in Trump's clearly racist policies and actions.
However, amid the scandal, a new poll shows that support for the U.S. president among the black community has almost doubled since last year. Samira Khan picks up the story.
According to this poll, Trump has more support among African Americans than Republican candidates of the past. But African Americans are still the most politically homogenous voting bloc, consistently voting for Democrats. Rapper Kanye West, who's recently made headlines over his support for Trump, says that going against this trend makes you a pariah in the community.
Everyone around me tried to pick my candidate for me. And then told me every time I said I like Trump that I couldn't say it out loud or my career would be over. I'd get kicked out the black community because we're supposed to have a monolithic thought. We can only be Democrats and all.
Though it's unclear whether such statements from black celebrities have a positive effect on Donald Trump's popularity. A leading civil rights group says Trump trotting out his black surrogates to woo voters has little impact, as the majority of African Americans disapprove of Trump.
Trump's strategy of trotting out black people to support him is not working if it is intended to inspire African American support for him or his policies. A majority of black voters say these celebrities have no impact.
Before Trump set off on the campaign trail in 2015, black rappers and hip-hop artists felt a little differently about him. In the 90s, they often mentioned Trump in their music, boasting of his wealth.
Trump change, Trump change, nah, Trump change, rather not Trump change, Trump change.
Deep in my heart, this is no way out too. That's right. Spend absurd money, private bird money, that Bill Gates, Donald Trump, Bloomberg money.
Like Donald Trump, taste like them Trump, she gon' chew you up, twerk like she's from Russia.
So why are African Americans starting to think this way? We asked around to find out. Do you think African Americans support Trump? Would you want to guess a percentage?
I'm definitely going to say that not a lot of them support him.
Wow, 30? Are you kidding me?
36.
36? Not even close to what I thought about.
6%.
It's actually 36%.
Really?
Are you surprised by that at all?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Because I don't know any black Trump supporters.
Why do you think some African Americans support Trump? By some, I mean 1/3.
I'm going to say probably because they thought that he was the best chance for our economy instead of thinking about where we are socially.
There is a chance to be heard, which hasn't been there before.
I think those that do probably are looking from an economic perspective. He's a businessman, right? So.
More Americans, including black Americans, are finding job opportunities. And by that I mean, it's not just you must take the one job you find. You're seeing that there are multiple opportunities. People are now getting to buy a car for themselves or a truck for themselves for the first time in a long time. Last summer, we set a record among Americans, including black Americans, who went on vacation for the first time, and it looks like we're going to see another record-breaking activity in that regard. A lot of black Americans are experiencing this, and it's no surprise that they understand it's the policies of President Donald Trump that they accept, that they acknowledge, and that they're very appreciative of.
A young girl from Maryland who was allegedly reprimanded for kneeling in class during the national anthem has won the support of Hillary Clinton. The former presidential candidate tweeted that it takes courage to express disagreement with injustice. 11-year-old Mariana Taylor hopes that more people will join her cause.
It's important to stand up for what I believe in, because if I don't, who else will? I kind of want to inspire other people to do it too, and then if other people do it, we can really make something happen.
Mariana says that she was inspired by an American football quarterback who knelt during the national anthem before a game in 2016 to protest against racial inequality and police brutality. His silent protest soon spread among other athletes, and this provoked a fiery political debate reaching all the way to the White House.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired?
That was not against our anthem or our flag. That was actually kneeling as a reverent position.
Responding to the girls' move, the American Civil Rights Union has urged all Maryland schools to guarantee students freedom of speech without punishment. Meanwhile, the girls' school has issued a statement saying it's not aware of any students being disciplined for such behavior. But Mariana says her teacher shouted at her, and she reportedly left the classroom in tears. My colleague Andrew Farmer discussed the issue with John Luden, a former Missouri Republican, and Richard Goodstein, a former advisor to the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign.
Football's about football, school's about school, and if you have a protest, protest in a constructive way. This girl can write letters to the editor, she can arrange a little march, but protesting in your classroom to irritate your classmates and virtue signal, and that's what she's being taught. Mom's teaching her. Mom is so proud that her daughter is virtue signaling, that she cares more than anybody else.
And I actually find that to make no sense. When you get arrested disproportionately, when you get shot disproportionately, when you get put in jail disproportionately, that's not just annoying, that's totally ruining your life. So the fact that you're taking to the streets is not merely disruptive, you're trying to make a point.
Unless you have a goal and something that you actually have a path to accomplish, then you're just disrupting. You're just being an antagonist to your fellow athletes or the fans, or in this case, to her classmates. What does she want? What's going to make her stand? Peace on earth?
And, yeah, will we ever get to the point where there's no discrimination? No, there are bigoted people. Let's stipulate that. There are people who are bigoted, and they will be bigoted forever. Donald Trump has given them voice. But the fact of the matter is, it's not to say it's wrong for them to basically stand up for what they believe in. And that's what this little girl was doing. That's all.
Why on earth are politicians getting involved in this? Why can't we just allow students to protest and perhaps NFL people to protest if they want to? Why is it such a big deal politically?
The Democratic Party in the United States gets their power on dividing people and separating us versus them. There's class warfare, gender warfare. They want to show that everybody's got a reason for injustice and they need to vote Democrat in order to fix it. And that's all this is. It's pure politics.
Richard, final word.
And Hillary Clinton got millions more votes than Donald Trump did, and her campaign theme was being together, not dividing people. She wasn't mocking handicapped people. She wasn't telling punch them in the jaw and I'll pay your legal bills. That's not what her theme was. Her theme was about bringing people together, and she got millions more votes. So, John, I'm sorry, the voters actually disagreed with you.
A Palestinian journalist has been arrested by the Israeli Defense Forces for filming soldiers and allegedly inciting violence. Ali Al-Arali live-streamed 2 videos on Facebook of Israeli soldiers operating in Ramallah. Now, filming IDF soldiers is illegal in Israel. Filming an officer with the intent of undermining the spirit of the army, well, you can get 5 years in prison for that.